Last week's game, what was your views on last week's
Well, firstly, I want to apologise for throwing Hugo in front of the camera last week, but I wasn't very well, actually. I had a bit of a head cold and what have you, and so I was spluttering and snivelling, so that was the only reason I didn't speak to anybody after the game. So Hugo filled me boots there. As you can hear, it's actually gone from my head. It's gone from my head through my throat. Now it's in my chest. We've had a little bit around the club, actually, and I don't want to make excuses, but I think there was a general unwellness around the place actually last weekend, which transmitted, I think, to the first 45 minutes. But the stats will tell you, and I'm not a stats man particularly, but the stats will tell you we should have got something from that game, and it's a bugbear of mine that the previous two games we got exactly what we deserved in both. That was Weymouth and Grimsby. The previous four games to that, in the first halves of every game, we took exactly what we should be taking, i.e. we took the lead. So it was a disappointment last week. Make no bones about it. We can't make excuses for it, but we don't want to see one of them halves again between now and the end of the season. I think we're working as a staff and as players to try and get back to it quickly. We would have loved to have played on Tuesday night. Obviously, the weather's been a little bit unfriendly, so that I'm not surprised it was called off. On Monday when I left after training, I was doubtful it would be played. So we just want to get back to playing. I understand, and I've said it in my programme notes, that people's state of mind after a performance and a result like the one on Saturday is low. But we can't be like that. The football club can't be like that. The coaching staff, me, the players, we've got to be as positive as we can because we believe we can win every game. And if we don't go into every game with that mindset, then what we don't want to happen will happen. Simple as that. So from that point of view, we are back on it, back on the horse, let's say, and we're back approaching the next fence, which is the next game. So we're right up for it inside the building. I hope the people outside the building can dust themselves off, except it was a disappointing first half, but we murdered them second half and should have scored. We should have scored and probably taken a point from the game. So it's gone. We move on now with 18 or so games left, 19 games left. And we look forward to the next one.
The games keep getting sort of rescheduled at the moment. I mean, do you foresee some sort of issues with backlogs building up?
A little bit. I mean, we said this in December and it never happened because of the weather or whatever. And then we said it in January and we've said it in February. But if we don't play the games, we can't get to where we want to get to or where we don't want to get to. So knocking them back, all it does is creates the schedule. Busies the schedule further down the track. Now, what it does do, if we've got niggles and knocks, which we have at the minute, we've got a few that aren't training. We've got a couple that are not well. It gives people time to get back. That's all that does. But ultimately, Saturday, Tuesday, in a monotonous way, which is what we've got at the moment. We've got until the 8th of March. That's a hell of a schedule at any level of football, you know. So it's not going to be easy. But those who are in the team will be trying hard to stay fit and healthy to be in the team. And those not in the team, I'm sure if I was not in the team, I'd be waiting for that door to open because somebody will get injured, somebody will get ill. You know, there'll be changes made for whatever reason, and they've got to take their opportunities.
You mentioned knocks and illnesses and stuff like that. What's the state of the squad heading into tomorrow?
Well, like I said, we got one COVID case. He's been off all week. So Zane Walker. So he'll not be back until the middle of next week. We've got an abundance of people who've had cold, you know, and it's like me. It's not. We're all tested negative in terms we test every day before we come into training. So we're all negatively in the negative in the COVID. You know, people sneeze these days and they think you've got like I don't know something's going to kill them if you're looking at them, but it's just a head cold I've got. I think a few of the players have got it as well. But most of them are soldiering on through that. We got one or two knocks and niggles. Kyle McFadden, unfortunately, has got a back issue, which has come on sort of out the blue, really. He hasn't been on the pitch to get that. It's just something that's manifested. Maybe it's travelling, maybe it's, I don't know what it is. It could be a result of his COVID. He's just come back from COVID, and the doc thinks it could be linked with that. But he's got a neural problem, and I can't tell you how long that's going to take. It's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for us because we want to use him. We like him around the group. And then there's Arthur, who's going to St George's Park next week for a week of rehabilitation and assessment by the people at the FA school. So from that point of view, we haven't got that many injuries. We've got one or two lads who I've identified as not being involved on a regular basis, who I've suggested to go out on loan, but they seem fit to sit. Yeah. That's their prerogative. But I ain't going to make it comfortable for people who aren't involved going forward. I just think we need all hands to the pump. And if you're not in and around it, you need to be in and around it somewhere else, because when I do turn to you, you need to be fit and ready to go. And the level we're at, we can send people out for a month on loan at a time. And I've got 3 or 4 that I think should be out playing football somewhere else. So that's something I'm going to work hard to get done in the next couple of days.
You mentioned Kyle and Josh Colson's come in.
Yeah.
And the experience that you're talking about down the middle seems to be a lot more prevalent. What difference do you see that's made to the...
Yeah, I mean, I've without giving him too much praise, I think he's a bit of a glue to the components. Josh, he's not a chest beater, and he's not a ranter and a raver. He's a calm assuredness, I think, and it emanates across the people around him, and that's good, because you look around him and you've got 24-year-old to his right, 24-year-old to his left. He's got 2 22-year-olds or 21 and 22-year-olds in front of him. The vast majority of the people around him are kids in terms of his life and his experience of football. So I think it's a good fit for us. It's a good fit for him. We're halfway through his month, and without preempting anything, I would like to think he's settled in really well. I think he's been consistent, which is what I thought he'd be, and he's improved us. He's improved us immeasurably in terms of the way we play and the way we train. Actually, he's brilliant around the place. If you go in there now, vast majority of the players are in there. He'll be the one sitting around the table chatting with them and probably giving advice and what have you. So yeah, it's something that the club needs. And in Kyle, who's injured, he's around there doing the same sort of thing. So that I don't think people realise sometimes all the ingredients that go to being a full-time football club. It's not just about the Saturday. It's the whole week is a lead into every Saturday, and having that sort of environment with them sort of people around it is really important.
Looking ahead to Saturday, weather permitting, what's your views with the wind problems that the country's experienced?
Well, we've had stick because we've had to call off a couple of games, but Sheffield Wednesday, I don't know if there's a bigger club in the country than Sheffield Wednesday in terms of infrastructure and size. They had to call off at 4:30. We're having some weird and wonderful weather patterns, aren't we? So, am I 100% confident it'll be on? No. Do I want it on? 100% I do. Yeah, because I don't want any more, knockbacks with games and stuff. But if you walk on the pitch right now, it would be very difficult to play a match on there. And I think the storm's still on its way this way. So I'm hearing from family and friends down in not even the southwest, the southeast. It's really bad down there at the moment. So we're probably going to get a good dousing on the training ground shortly. But all we can do is keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope the wind pushes it through rather than lets it drop. But I think the safety of people is more important than any football match, And I had the television on in the office before I come in here, and I think the vast majority of Wales is shut down because the train's on. I know it's wet Wales. My sister lives there, so every time I go there, my windscreen wipers go on as I go over the bridge. But it's particularly wet Wales this week. In the rail service, I had people. Friends were coming to the game tomorrow, can't come because the rail network that they're coming from isn't on. So already people are sort of preempting what's going to happen. But ultimately, everybody's got to stay safe. And if it isn't on, we move on to Tuesday at Barnet. If it is on, we're going to go and prep and get wet and cold and add to my cold in a couple of minutes.
So the other opposition, other than the weather?
Yeah, they're a good side. I mean, I know Woody. I played with Woody for a short time at Oxford, and he saved Ian Atkins' neck once when I was going to chin him after a game. He'll know what I'm talking about there. It was a funny old thing, and I'd moved to Macclesfield after not getting an extension to my contract at Oxford. Me and Ian Atkins fell out, and he saw fit to try and shake my hand after he'd beat me at a game, and I wasn't really willing to do that. But Andy, big lad Andy, he stood in between me and Ian Atkins in the tunnel at Oxford United. So I remember that with a smile, actually. But he's done a fantastic job at Bromley. He's picked up the baton. To be fair, Neil Smith had done a great job for years there. It's a club I'm very much aware of. And when I was at Eastbourne, Hugo was actually at Bromley with Mark Goldberg back in the day, and I know Jerry's still in charge of the club at the top end. So it's a club I know really well, inside and out. I think they've done a great job. They're definitely in it. They've got a chance. You know, they're in the right part of the mix. They've got a really good, experienced group of lads there. A lot of them I've actually worked with, funnily enough. Some when they were very young. I don't know if they remember, but I do. I had them when they were kids, when I was at Salisbury. But they're a side they're uncompromising. They do what it says on the can. I mean, I think that's a sign of a good side. Everybody knows their job. They just roll out performance after performance, and it's something that we've got to put a, as you did as a kid, you've got to put a lollipop in the spokes, haven't you? You've got to do something to make them not as comfortable as they normally would be. I mean, they're coming from an AstroTurf pitch, so it's a true bounce, true run and everything. That pitch is very different to that, so that will be different for them. But other than that, it's like every opposition in this division, I think we've got to be at our best to be competitive.
Any other thoughts going ahead towards Barnet and stuff like that on Tuesday?
I really do, and I mean this, I really do look at the next game, and I don't look at the next game after that. Don't get me wrong, I've got a report sitting on my laptop in there on Barnet against Notts County and also Barnet against Aldershot that I haven't even read yet, but they're there. So the information's all there for me, but I don't think I'd be doing my job correctly if I didn't focus on just the next game. And it's something I've been rolling out to the lads all the time about. I don't look at tables, I don't look at differences in points, and I know people do and think, oh, well, you're burying your head. I'm not burying my head. I know what I've got to do, got to win the next game. And if we win the next game, as we did against Weymouth, everybody is on the up. And I think the group will be the same. So we've got to try and get back to winning ways as quickly as we can. Bromley's the next opposition. We've got to go and win one football match. That's what we've got to do.